श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्ताम् सदा हृदि। रामानुजदया पात्रम् ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणम् श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यम् वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम्। சீரொன்று தூப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் பாரொன்றச் சொன்ன பழமொழியுள் ஊரொன்று தானே அமையாதோ தாரணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேரப் போமளவும் வாழ்வு.
ஸ்ரீமான் வெங்கடநாதார்ய கவிதார்க்கிககேசரி வேதாந்தாச்சார்யவர்யோ மே சந்நிதத்தாம் சதா ஹிருதி. ராமானுஜதயா பாத்ரம் ஞான வைராக்யபூஷணம் ஸ்ரீமத்வேங்கடநாதார்யம் வந்தே வேதாந்ததேசிகம். ஈரொன்று தூப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் பாரொன்று சொன்ன பழமொழிகள் ஓரொன்று தானே தாரணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேர ஓமளவும் வாழ்வு.
Now, with regard to the argument that we had last session, neither the hunter was a surrenderer, nor the bird's action is acceptable. The bird sacrificing its partner and sacrificing him itself is too good an attitude, or too, rather excessive affection for the hunter. But still, what I told you earlier also, let it be a false story. Let it be not true. But this is only to give us an example of how we must behave as a protector. That's the key lesson that we learn from these stories. A bear was saving a human being, a man who betrayed the bear. The tiger was waiting under the tree, and the man pushed the bear while in sleep, and then bear came back without falling onto the without falling as a prey to the tiger, whereas the bear said, "I will not push you, oh man." So these are all certain incidents that we learn from. Let us believe them that they were true, and let us not depend on them as though we find fault with those stories. We find fault with the bird, we find fault with the hunter also. As it was argued that hunter was a killer of birds. And how can, so that there you have a word in Rama's expression, Sudushtova api adushtova. That is one type. That is even in an enemy, Shatru also should be pardoned. So an enemy should be forgiven, the enemy should be protected. Not only enemy should be forgiven, the enemy should be protected. That's why you have an epithet for Rama, namely Ripurnam api Vatsalaha. Ripurnam api Vatsalaha. In that case, we have an example that Mandodari praised Rama. Mandodari warned Ravana not to fight with Rama, she identified Rama as Lord Sriman Narayana and advised strongly against the war with Rama. But Ravana, of course, did not heed to her advice. And Mandodari is considered the most chasteful lady among the five. Ahalya, Draupadi, Sita, Tara, Mandodari. So the five women are considered the most chasteful women. And therefore, so Mandodari considered Rama as God, and she didn't say that killing Ravana was right. But she was sorry that her husband did not pay attention to her advice. That's all. And then she praised. So Mandodari Stuti is very famous in Ramayana Yuddha Kanda after the death of Ravana. So what we mean is the protector, the Sharanyaha, should protect the enemy also. Of course, Vibhishana is from the enemy side. He is from the enemy side because he is the younger brother of Ravana. Naturally, he is on the enemy side. But since he came away, since he came out of the group and then surrendered to Rama, therefore he was considered good. Otherwise, had he been in the company of Ravana as Kumbhakarna did, the another brother, he would also be punished. At the same time, he would also be saved if Ravana had come to surrender. So in the same way, we must look at it in different angles. That is why I like Abhaya Pradana Saram of Sri Vedanta Deshika. From in the young age, I studied as a student of a degree course. So my father encouraged me to study Abhaya Pradana Saram. Somehow, of all the books of Vedanta Deshika's Chillarai Ragasyas and all other Ragasyas, so Abhaya Pradana Sara was fortunately chosen by the blessing of both gods and parents. So why I said it is, now we have another aspect, another angle. So now, are we trying to find fault with the bird which gave extreme kindness, or showed extreme kindness and helped the hunter to survive? So that is only to show that a lesser being, a living being with less knowledge is doing such a good act, and therefore we must also follow. We must be better than a lesser being. We must be better than animals. கபோதத்திற்கு வேடன் தானே பாரியாபகரணம் பண்ணின சத்ருவா இருக்கும். So this aspect has come here. The inimical attitude of the hunter towards the birds. Please show me the page 97, last word. Yes. Akkapotam, that pigeon, Sahadharmacharini Sannidhyalum, as a wife should always encourage the husband to do the righteous act perfectly. Akkapotam, that pigeon, Shadakkana, suddenly, Saranagata Rakshana Dharmam Anustikya Petradire. So it developed the attitude, the pigeon developed the attitude that it should protect the hunter. Saranagata Rakshana Dharmam. So the bird wanted to follow the principle of the protection to be extended to the surrenderer. Shadakkana, it was a momentous decision. It was a sudden conclusion that it did it. It would have left the hunter free, just sacrificing its partner's life. And even when the partner was dead, the inclination of the bird, live bird, which protected the hunter by sacrificing its own flesh, is a sudden decision. And that decision also is to be taken by us also. That's even in a hurry, even in an emergency, we must take the responsibility of protecting the surrenderer. Shatruhu, enemy. கபோதத்திற்கு வேடந்தானே பாரியாபகரணம் பண்ணின சத்ருவா இருக்கும். So for the pigeon, not only the hunter was an enemy, but he also made the bird's wife die. He killed the wife bird, female bird. So வேடந்தானே பாரியாபகரணம் பண்ணின சத்ருவா இருக்கும். Now, this is in comparison with Ravana abducting Sita. So, Bharya Paharanam Ravana did. So, we call it abduction. Don't say, I think we cannot use the word kidnapping Sita. And of course, another story is there from Uttarakandam. It is not real Sita, but Vedavati he actually abducted, and Vedavati again went into the fire, and Sita came out of the fire. So now there is a work in Sanskrit called Janaki Haranam. Janaki Haranam. So it was written by a king of Ceylon, Sri Lanka, called Kumaradasa. Kumaradasa was a friend of Kalidasa, and then so a very close friend of Kalidasa. They communicated with each other from India to Sri Lanka. So he wrote a book called Janaki Haranam. It's a very good book, with 20 cantos. It's a very beautiful book with a lot of what they call figures of speech. And while we appreciate the book Janaki Haranam, so we say the verse like this: Janaki Haranam Kartum Ravane Sati. So, who was capable of abducting Sita? Ravana. In the Ramayana, we understand Ravana took her away. So, Janaki Haranam Kartum Ravane Sati. Nobody else is capable except Kumaradasa. So, Kumaradasohi Kshamaha. So, Kumaradasa was also capable of doing Janaki Haranam. In the sense, the description is so vivid, so graphic, that we can visualize the incident that Ravana coming as a sannyasi and revealing himself as a 10-headed demon to Sita. Sita gave hospitality to him, and Sita was suddenly lifted away. And therefore, so all these incidents come to our mind as a video, as a live video, rather replay of the live video, the telecast by Kumaradasa, the king of Ceylon. Therefore, we say, then the another work that was describing Ravana's abducting Sita is Raghuvamsha. Janaki Haranam Kartum Raghuvamshe Sthite Sati. It was also in Raghuvamsha. But after Kumaradasa, nobody else could describe such beautifully. Even better than Kalidasa of Raghuvamsha, Kumaradasa described it very beautifully. Now, of course, it's a negative incident. So now Rama argues with Sugriva here. நமக்கு விபீஷணன் அப்படிப்பட்ட சத்ருவிருந்த ஊரினின்றும் வந்தான் அத்தனையும். So it is the mere stay or existence or life of Vibhishana in the place called Sri Lanka, in the kingdom of Sri Lanka, with Ravana was the only mistake that he did. Vibhishana stayed with Ravana because he was a brother, and Ravana only did the mistake. So we don't attribute abduction of Sita by Ravana also to Vibhishana. We cannot say Vibhishana agreed fully with the abduction of Sita. And even Kumbhakarna objected very vehemently Ravana in the case of abduction of Sita. Actually, Sumbarna advised Ravana to give back safely Sita. Therefore, he was not a co-conspirator. Right. So Vibhishana cannot be blamed. Vibhishana belongs to the place. That's all. Where Ravana lived. So நமக்கு விபீஷணன் அப்படிப்பட்ட சத்ருவிருந்த ஊரினின்றும் வந்தான் அத்தனையும். No. Now the question yesterday was also the hunter. Can we consider the hunter as a surrenderer? Sharanagataha. So Sharanamagataha. So Shatruhu Sharanamagataha. And connect these two words in the brackets. கபோதம் இருந்த மரத்தடியிலே வேடன் யாதృச்சிகமாக வந்தான் அத்தனை. So it was the luck of the hunter to have reached a place where in the tree these pigeons lived. So he was not for aiming at these pigeons earlier. He did not plan to kill these pigeons earlier. Because of the rain and the winter climate, he wanted to take shelter under the tree. He wanted to save from the rain by coming near the tree. So accidentally he came. Yadrichikamaha vandan attanai. So the hunter came to the tree's base where the pigeons lived. And therefore, by shooting the arrow, he killed the wife bird, and the husband bird also sacrificed its flesh. So here, he also said this way, Sonjalim shirasa kritva vakyamaha vanaspatim sharanam hi gatosmi adya devatantu iha vasinim. He made a surrender. Yes, he made a surrender. How did he make a surrender? He made a surrender to the tree. Vanaspatim. Vanaspati meaning tree. Vanam, forest. So the king of the forest is tree. So if there are no trees, there is no forest. The trees are very much necessary for forest. So Vanaspatim Vakyamaha. So he said the sentence. Aha said Vakyam the sentence. Vanaspatim to the tree. How did he do it? Shirasa Anjalim Kritva. By making a bow of the head, he saluted the tree. Saha, he, Anjalim, Sonjalim, Shirasa Kritva, made a bow to the tree. And then, what did he say to the tree? Sharanam hi gatosmi. I am a surrendered man. Adya today, Adya now. Devatam tu ihavasmi. We always say that all gods reside in all objects in the world, especially a living tree, a blossoming tree, a fruitful tree will be considered having been protected by a goddess, Devata. So, tree is a Devata. So any plant for that matter is growing and then it is protected by Devata. And that is what we say with regard to Neela, Neela Devi. Neela Devi is a goddess of plants. Bhuma Devi is a goddess of earth, all of us know. Neela Devi for the Lord, Sriman Narayana, happens to be the successful vegetation and makes the goddess of earth fruitful, advantageous to the living beings. So from the earth we all get the produce, the crops, blessed by another goddess of grains, I would say, Neela. So Neela Devi is the Devata of the tree. So Devatam to Iha Vasini. Iha here, that is in the tree. Vasini, one who lives. Present tense, Vasini is living. So I want to surrender to that goddess. We say forest goddess. Sylvan damsel. Sylvan deity, we say. In English also you have the word Sylvan deity. So Devatam to Iha Vasini. Sharanam hi gatosmi. When he did the surrender, so he only surrendered to the goddess of the tree, Vanaspati Devati, Kurittu Sharana Shabdam Prayogitanagilum. Kapodati Kurittu Sharana Shabdam Prayogitilan. He did not use the word Sharanam toward the bird. That's what we said in the case of Ramayana episode also. The crow did not surrender to Sita nor Rama. So in the same way, this bird is also not surrendered to by the hunter. So he did not use the word Sharanam to this bird. Now what did Vibhishana do was better than what hunter did. Vibhishanan புத்திரதாராதிகள் எல்லாவற்றையும் விட்டு ராகவம் சரணங்கதா. He gave up all his members of his family. Putra, children, Dara, wife, etc. So he rejected all his relatives. He came out of the house and then Raghavam Sharanangata. He came to surrender to Rama. என்று நமக்கு கூட, to us also. Now you look at the, I think we have understood the verse. So Kattu Maram is called Vanaspati. Kattu Maram is called Vanaspati. So we see that Talayil Kaikupi. So the hunter did this way. Talayil Kaikupi. Shirasa Anjalim Krutva. Vakyamaha Vanaspatim. இங்கு வசிக்கின்ற தேவதையை என்னை ரட்சிக்கும் பொருட்டு இப்போதே சரணம் அடைகிறேன் என்று அந்த காட்டு மரத்தை பார்த்து சொன்னார். So we go to the page 99 where ரகு ராட்சச சம்வாதத்திலே ரகு ராட்சச சம்வாதத்திலே சரணாகத ரட்சணம் பண்ணினபடியை நினைப்பித்துக் கொண்டு நம்மை யதாக்கிரமம் சரணாகதனானார். I think we must trace the history of Raghu Rakshasa Samvada. So Raghu refers to the ancestor of Rama, namely great grandfather of Rama. Aja was the grandfather, Dasharatha was the father, and Raghu was the great grandfather of Rama. So it seems there was a discussion between Raghu and Rakshasa, a demon. So Sharanagata Rakshanam Pandinabadiyi Nenepittukondu. The demons are cunning, but in spite of it, Raghu gave them succor, refuge, shelter. And therefore, Raghu protected the demon. So Pandinabadiyi Nenepittukondu Yam Nammai Yathakramam Sharanagatanam. So having understood that the solar king's race will be ready to receive us and give us protection, with that attitude in mind, according to the tradition of the solar race, Surya Vamsha Raja, so Sharanagatanam. Now, Architahacha. This is a word referring to the bird. Bird worshipped the hunter. How did the bird worship the hunter? Vedanahiyale Pakshijadiki. So when the hunter was hungry, it was actually the thought of the bird that the hunter is hungry. And the hunter also did not say to the goddess of the tree that he is hungry. He was hungry. So thinking that he was hungry, and he understood, the bird understood the precarious position of the hunter, and then helped him. That's what Archita. Worshipped him in the sense, helped him. So Pakshi Jatiki. So for the species of the bird, Tan Bharya Pakattavamana, even I think the Padad Padharan must be there. I think some typos are there in Tamil. So though he has taken away the wife's bird by killing it by an arrow, Prakritya Shatrumai, so natural enemy, hunter is a natural enemy to the birds. Visheshit, especially this bird is antagonized by killing the partner bird, and even Padada Padagram. So even when he has done this bad action, namely killing the bird, he is now suffering because of the sin that he committed. என்று இருப்புதல் அவசரத்திலே நலிய விறகு தேடுதல் செய்ய பிராப்தமாயிருக்க. அவசரத்திலே meaning at the time of opportunity, at the right time. Naliya, that means becoming weak. விறகு தேடுதல், searching for a solution, செய்ய பிராப்தமாயிருக்க. He must have repented for the sin committed by him for killing the bird. But Atithiye Devanaha Vidikira Shrutiin Padiye, we have the Taittiriya Upanishad Vakyam, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava. So the last sentence, Atithi Devo Bhava, out of the four, has been taken very seriously by the bird, the pigeon, and therefore Architaha. The bird worshipped the hunter. How did it worship? I told you, by offering its own flesh also. Brought the fuel sticks, lit the fire, and then already the partner has been roasted, and he also, this bird also fell down in the fire. So Atithi, as we understand the word Atithi, so the word Yadrichikamaha Vandu Chendavanai. So accidentally the hunter came to the tree, and therefore he is called Atithi. Atithi is without informing the date, Tithi date, Atithi. Devanaha Vidikinda. So Atithi Devo Bhava. As we must respect a guest as God. So Vidikira Shruti in Badiye, because of the Taittiriya Upanishad sentence in the Krishna Yajurveda. So Devarale Aradhikum Tirathile. So while we worship the gods, so what do? Agni Mukhamaha Vandro Kapotam Achittapat. A very beautiful explanation which I relish, which I enjoy. So when we worship the gods like Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Kubera, all other gods also, even Brahma, Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. So we always use fire. So the fire ritual is used for worshipping all gods. Though we say the mantras like Indraya Swaha, so Agnaye Swaha also we say. We also offer oblation to the fire god. But still, for all other gods, the fire is the carrier, the courier service. So Agni Mukhamaha Vandro Kapotam Architabadi. So the bird pigeon did exactly what Shruti said, namely the Karma Kandam, all the three, Samhita, Brahmanam, Aranyakam, are the three portions of scriptures which advises how to proceed with the performance of fire rituals. So it says fire god must be invoked so that the offering oblation is to be given to the fire, and the fire takes the oblation, the food, to the gods. Whatever god that we mentioned in the mantras. So Agni Mukhamaha Vandro Kapotam Architam. The bird did exactly what the scriptures advise. So Namam Sharanagatanai. So these were words of monkeys. Vadhyatam eshaha tivrena dandena sachivaihi sa. So that was an extreme punishment to be meted out to Vibhishana according to the opinion of the monkeys. They appealed to Rama, please kill him, shoot him down. And then Tivrena Dandena, give extreme punishment. The capital punishment is death. So Tivrena Dandena, Sachivaihi Saha. He came with 4 demons along with him. Along with him, he brought 4 demons. So they were ministers. Sachivaha meaning now today it means the secretary of the government. So generally Sachivaha meaning minister, Mantri minister, Amatyaha minister, Sachivaha minister. So friends for advice in the administration. So along with these 4 demons who accompanied Vibhishana, Vibhishana must be killed. That's what they said. So now Rama repeats those words. Namam Sharanagatani. We too, if we if I do what you said, Sharanagatani, Anubandhi Paryantamaha Nandraha. Now following the story of the bird, so we must honor him more as the bird did the hunter. Anubandhi Paryantamaha. We must take the example as model. So Nandraha. So the note says, Yathakramam Murai Valuvamal. So the bird did it according to the scriptural advice. Prakritya Yerkeile. Hunter is a natural enemy at all times. Bharyapaharta Manavi Abhagaritavan. Samayatile at the right time. Muraile in the right method. Agni Variyaha, Agni Mukhamundre. So Mandrigaladun Kuda even Chitravade Sheyapadatum. Chitravade. So that's what the Trivrena Dandana, he must not be killed immediately. He must be given serious punishment for suffering mentally and physically. Chitravadai in Tamil, what the police used to make the culprits suffer, the accused to suffer. So Anubandhi Paryanta. So avane சேர்ந்தவர்களையும் விடாமல். So following the policy of the bird as per the instruction of the scriptures. So I'm going to honor both Vibhishana and his followers. So avane சேர்ந்தவர்களையும் விடாமல். The previous page, last word is Vibhishanani, 99, last word. 99, last word. The previous page. Yeah. Nandraha Archiyan Indro. So we want to honor Vibhishana more and more along with his followers. The followers also will be honored because they follow a good demon. Yatha Nyayam. According to the rules of justice. Yatha Nyayam. So also the bird did. Not only brought fuel sticks, brought fire, and made the partner and itself falling into the fire to give him the food. So Sheetatalum, because of the cool climate, the winter season, Chuddalum, because for the sake of hunger also, Artanana Vedanukku, the suffering hunter, Apekshitangalana. So what he needed was warmth, the fireplace. So he needed removal of his what you call shuddering, shaking with cool climate. So Apekshitangalana, Agni, Agniya Nayanadigalai Panni. Agni Anayanam. Agni, it brought fire. So Agni Anayanadigalai Panni. Nalvirundu Vandal Adarikkumbadi Tappade. So any guest is welcome. And if a good guest comes in, like Vibhishana, I must welcome. That's what he says. Nalvirundu Vandal Adarikkumbadi Tappade. We must not fail in our duty to invite a good guest. So Antar Vishada Gandham Illade Akkapodam Adaritam. Now the bird mentally did not suffer by helping the hunter. While welcoming the hunter and favoring the hunter, it brought fire, it brought fuel sticks, it made the flesh of the partner bird to be taken by him for appeasing his hunger. And at the same time, the bird did not feel remorseful, rather sad for helping the hunter. That's what we are to be. We are to learn lesson from the bird. After helping somebody, we feel that why did we help him? So that should not be there. The problem also comes like this. When somebody receives help from someone else, instead of being grateful to the helper, they also do harm to the helper. It happens. In many cases, in many occasions, many of us have experienced that one who received help does harm to the helper. So Antar Vishada Gandham Illade, not even an iota of smell of grief in the mind of the bird. That is the beauty here. We must not regret that we have helped someone. So Antar, in the mind, in the heart of hearts, Vishada, grief, Gandham, there is no smell. So there is no later thinking of the bird that it helped the hunter. Akkapotam Atharittapati. So the bird pigeon honored the hunter. Adarittapati, supported the hunter. Yatha Nyayam. So according to the justice, that is according to the instruction given by the scriptures. Inshal Mudalaha Prana Paryantamaha Sharanagata Vishayatil Shakti Vanchanam Pannadeshi the Parivellam Alavayurukkum Attane Poki Migudi Undo. So to the surrenderer, the protector should talk kindly, should always speak kind words. Inshal Mudalaha. So not only kind words must be spoken to the surrenderer, but also he must be assured that he will be protected for his life, entire life. Prana paryantama. He must be assured that he will not be killed at any time. Prana paryantama. Sharanagata vishayati. So in the matter of the surrenderer, Shakti vanchanam pannade. Today I promise somebody that I will give help, and tomorrow I say, no, it is not possible for me to help. So Shakti vanchanam pannade. Don't betray, don't cheat, don't be cunning to say that I have the power to help, but I will not help. So pannade, Sheida parivallam, the kindness shown to the surrenderer from the protector, that he will be saved throughout his life by talking kind words. Alava irukkum attanai pokki migudi undu. Is there anything else to be done except this? Shall I talk harsh words to Vibhishana? Shall I give him the fear of life even after giving him protection? Shall I cheat him by changing my mind and doing harm to him? So that's what he says. So what is the example by the bird? Swaihi cha mamsaihi nimantrita. So he was invited, the hunter was invited to take the flesh of the sacrificing bird also. Swaischa mamsaihi, by its own flesh. So we don't think that even the flesh of the pigeon is enough for appeasing the hunger of the hunter. But still, the what you call the attitude of sacrifice, the mentality of helping others is to be appreciated here. So in nimantritaha, beautiful word is invitation extended. So a hunter was invited to take part of the flesh. So Purambe Shila Aharangala Eduthukondu Vandittadante. The bird is capable of bringing food from some other source. Purambe, from, or say outsourcing, no? It can go fly to many places and bring the food for the hunter. Shila Aharangala Eduthukondu Vandittadante. The bird did not go in search of better food to the hunter. தன்னுடையதான திரவியாந்தரங்களிலே சிலவற்றை இட்டு உபசரித்ததும். A bird, as a pigeon, might have collected some food materials in the nest. It would have placed its food materials in the nest. It would have stored the food materials. So the food materials already collected by the bird were also not offered to the hunter. So the bird did not extend the hospitality to the hunter by giving the old food, stale food materials from its own nest, which it collected. So we will take up in the next session. Vivekamilladar tanaha abhimanittirikka kadava. So we must follow the bird in every aspect. And if we do not follow the bird in every aspect, that means we have no knowledge of the policy of Sharanagati Shastram. We are not discriminating. We have no discriminating power. Discriminating power in the sense we do not know how to do good. Vivekam illada. Then at least we must learn from others' stories. If we do not have the proper knowledge to help others, we must at least learn from the stories of bird and the bat. So you find the notes here. Shitaha kulir. Chut is hunger. Shitaha kulir meaning the cool climate. Artha kashtapadugravan. And then Agni Anayanadi. நெருப்பு கொண்டு வருவது முதலிய. We go further down to the page 100. Agni Anayanadi. And can you just go a little lower to page 100? So, Antar Vishada Gandham. So, Antar Vishada Gandham, as I told you, Manadil Dukkam என்பதின் வாசனை கூட இல்லாது. So, he did not regret later also. I mean, or even while helping the hunter, he did not regret its own action. He thought that the bird thought that it is right in action. And what is called paschatapaha was not there in the mind of the bird. We suffer later when we do some actions. After performing the actions, we suffer later. That is, we take pity on ourselves, self-pity. So that it did not do.
இந்த விஷாதங்கிறதுக்கு என்ன அர்த்தம்?
துக்கம்.
அந்தர் விஷாதம் துக்கம் தானா?
Sadness.
ஓகே, அந்தர் விஷாத கந்தம். ஓகே.
The hunter is called Nishada. Vishada is suffering, mental suffering, grief at the heart. So Dravyantara Matta Porgal. Then last word which we are going to see in the next session is Viveka Paguttari. So our discrimination is to follow the bird and not to go against the bird's action. So you must say Yathanyayam, Architaha, Nimantritaha. These three words must be remembered. So according to the justice, according to the necessity of the situation, according to the exigency of the context, we must try to help. And we must also follow the bird. So giving up our own life and ensuring the long life to the surrenderer. So in that way, sacrifice. That is more important. It's very difficult. Already it is said, it is very difficult to follow the bird. It is we will say, even the bird was preposterous. That it was foolish to help an enemy. That's what now the monkeys say to Rama, not to accept Vibhishana, because Vibhishana comes from the enemy side. So he also must be an enemy. Or later he will be cunning and he will later behave as an enemy. And therefore we must be careful with him. So Rama said, I am careless because he cannot do me harm. That's the beauty.
ராமானுஜதயாபாத்ரம் ஞான வைராகிய பூஷணம் ஸ்ரீமத்வேங்கடநாதார்யம் வந்தே வேதாந்த தேசிகம். கவிதார்க்கிகசிம்மாய கல்யாண குணசாலினே ஸ்ரீமதே வெங்கடேசாய வேதாந்த குரவே நமः. ஆதித்விவசிரோபங்க பஞ்சாரண பராக்கிரமா ஸ்ரீமான் வெங்கடநாதார்ய விஜயதாம்புவி. சீரொன்று தோப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் வாரொன்று சொன்ன பழமொழியுள் ஓரொன்று தானே அமையாதோ தருணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேர போமளவும் வாழ்வு.
Dhanyavayam. Vedanta Deshika's statements elevate us to Vaikuntham. And therefore, his words are very powerful. And while we follow the bird's actions, then that will be good for us. And normally when we also do this one, that is expecting in return our help through somebody else. I help someone and I expect someone else to help me back. That is also not right.
சுவாமி அதுல ஒரு சாஸ்திரம் பாருங்க, அதாவது
Uh,
பழசா வச்சிருந்தத இன்னொருத்தருக்கு கெஸ்ட் கொடுக்க கூடாது. ஒரு
Ah,
பேர்டா
right.
இருந்தாலும், ஒரு
ஆமா.
பேர்டாக இருந்தாலும், ஒரு
ஆமா.
சாஸ்திரத்தை சாதாரண ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா ரொம்ப கேஷுவலா சொல்ற ஒரு பழசு இருந்தா கூட ஃப்ரெஷ்ஷான கொண்டு தான் கொடுப்பேன்
ஆமா.
அதிதிகளுக்கு.
ஆமா. அதுக்கு பேர் முஷிதம்னு பேர். முஷிதம். அதனாலதான் நானே சொன்னேன் ஸ்டேல் ஃபுட். அது பழசா இருந்து ஒரு 3 மணி நேரம் கழிச்சு கூட சாப்பிடக்கூடாதுன்னு சாஸ்திரம். அது நாம வந்து ஃப்ரிட்ஜில் வச்சு நிறைய சாப்பிடுறோம். அதனால யூஎஸ்ல பத்தி சொல்லுவான். டுடே இஸ் 25th-னா 22nd May வச்சு அது கூட யூ புட் அ டேட் ஆன் தி ஸ்டஃப் அப்படின்னு அண்ட் கீப் இட் இன் தி ஃப்ரிட்ஜ். அது மாதிரி பழசு சாப்பிடக்கூடாது.
Even Ganga Jalam, Deshin used to say that it is having the purity for 2 days only. Ganga Jalam also.
Oh.
Not more than 2 days. It is only
But
2 days.
We bring in pots from Kashi, Varanasi.
இல்ல சாமி, அது வந்து ஒரு மனசு திருப்தி. ஏன்னு கேளுங்க, அதே ஒண்ணுமே இல்லாத ஜலத்துக்கு அது கங்காஜலம் அழுக்கா இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்ல. ஏன்னு கேளுங்க, அங்கேருந்து அங்க இருக்கிறாளுக்கு ஓகே, நமக்கு வந்து சொல்லி ஆத்ம திருப்தி. வேற இதுல வந்து நாட் எக்ஸஸ், அதோட வேல்யூ கூட we never bother about the value of it because it name itself having Ganga, so it will purify.
அவ்வளவுதான்.
மனசுதான் அதுல.
அதனால்தான் when we take bath we say Gange Chaimane Chaiva. So normally some of us used to go to Ganges river, take bath, and with our own hands we collect the water. Otherwise we don't buy the water sealed in the pots.
ராமானுஜதயா பாத்ரம் ஞான வைராக்ய பூஷணம் ஸ்ரீமத்வேங்கடநாதார்யம் வந்தே வேதாந்த தேசிகம் கவிதார்க்கிக சிம்ஹாய கல்யாண குணசாலினே ஸ்ரீமதே வெங்கடேஷாய வேதாந்த குரவே நமஹ. சீரொன்று தூப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் பாரொன்றச் சொன்ன பழமொழியுள் ஓரொன்று தானே அமையாதோ தாரணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேரப் போமளவும் வாழ்வு.
ஓம் நமோ நாராயணாய. ஓம்